There is a specific kind of trust involved in babysitting. You're walking into a stranger's house, eating their food, and guarding their most precious possession. I've been babysitting since I was 16. I thought I had seen it all. Kids who refused to sleep, weird pets, creepy basements. But in the winter of 2019, I took a job that made me realize that the baby monitor isn't just there to let you hear the baby. It's there to let you hear what else is in the room. The job was for the Davidsons. They lived in a beautiful, sprawling farmhouse about 10 miles outside of town. It was renovated, modern kitchen, smart locks, the works, but the bones of the house were old. It was a Saturday night. The parents were going to a holiday party in the city. They left around 6 p.m. The kid, a 6-month-old boy named Leo, was an angel. He fell asleep at 7:30 p.m. I put him in his crib on the second floor, turned on the sound machine, white noise, and went downstairs to watch Netflix. The house was big and silent. The only light came from the Christmas tree in the corner. I had the baby monitor set up on the coffee table next to me. It was one of those high-end video monitors with two-way audio. Around 9 p.m., the storm picked up. The Wi-Fi cut out for a second, then came back. I paused my movie to check the monitor. On the screen, Leo was fast asleep. The white noise machine was humming. But then I heard something else coming through the monitor's speaker. It was faint, underneath the static. Hum, hum, hum. Someone was humming. I turned the volume up. It was a melody. Rockabye Baby. I froze. I assumed it was the white noise machine. Some of them have a lullaby setting. Maybe the power flicker had reset it? I picked up the monitor and pressed the talk button. Hello? I whispered, feeling silly. Is the machine glitching? The humming stopped. I waited. Nothing but the whoosh of the white noise. I relaxed. Just a glitch, I told myself, or radio interference. I went to the kitchen to get a glass of water. The kitchen was at the back of the house, overlooking the backyard. The yard was pitch black, covered in snow. As I was filling my glass, I heard a sound from the floor above me. The nursery was directly above the kitchen. I set the glass down. Creak, creak. Someone was walking in the nursery. I grabbed the baby monitor from the counter. I stared at the screen. The camera angle showed the crib. Leo was still sleeping, but the rocking chair in the corner of the room was moving. It was rocking back and forth vigorously. And then I saw it. A hand. A pale hand reached into the frame of the camera and adjusted the blanket on the baby. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Mrs. Davidson," I called out, "did you come back?" I thought maybe the parents had forgotten something and snuck in quietly so they wouldn't scare me. I pressed the talk button on the monitor again. "Mrs. Davidson, is that you?" The hand froze. Then the face of a woman appeared on the screen. She leaned down into the camera lens. Her eyes were wide black circles in the night vision. She was smiling, but it wasn't Mrs. Davidson. Mrs. Davidson had short blonde hair. This woman had long, dark, matted hair that hung over her face like a curtain. She put a finger to her lips. "Shh," the voice whispered through the monitor speaker. "He likes the song." Then the connection cut. The screen went black. I didn't think. Instinct took over. I grabbed a steak knife from the drying rack. I ran to the bottom of the stairs. I had to get Leo. I sprinted up the stairs. "Get away from him!" I screamed. I reached the nursery door. It was closed. I grabbed the handle. Locked. It was a simple push-button lock on the handle. Someone had locked it from the inside. I could hear Leo crying now, a terrified waking-up wail. And underneath the crying, I heard the woman singing again, louder, manic. "And down will come baby, cradle and all." I threw my shoulder against the door.
Open the door!" I yelled. I kicked the door right near the handle. The old wood splintered. The door flew open. I burst into the room, knife raised. The room was freezing. The window was wide open. Snow was blowing into the nursery, swirling around the crib. The rocking chair was empty. I ran to the crib. Leo was there. He was crying, red-faced, but he was alone. I grabbed him, wrapping him in his blanket. I spun around, checking the corners of the room, the closet, under the bed. Empty. I looked at the window. There were wet footprints on the carpet, muddy, snowy footprints leading from the window to the crib and back to the window. She had come in through the second-story window. I ran downstairs with the baby, locked myself in the bathroom, and called 911. The police arrived in 10 minutes. They searched the house. They searched the grounds. They found a ladder, an old painter's ladder, stolen from the barn, propped against the side of the house, leading right to the nursery window. But they didn't find the woman. However, they found something in the attic. The police officer called me over to look. "Miss," he said, "have you been up here?" "No," I said, "never." In the corner of the attic, nestled in the insulation, was a sleeping bag and a pile of photos. They were Polaroids, photos of the Davidson family having dinner, photos of Mrs. Davidson gardening, photos of Leo in his stroller, and photos of me arriving at the house that night, taken from the bushes. And on the wall, scratched into the wooden beam, were tally marks. Day 1, Day 2, Day 3. The woman in the attic hadn't just broken in that night. She had been living in the attic for a week. She had been watching the family, learning their routine. The police think she was a ghoster, a vagrant who lives in occupied houses undetected. But here is the part that makes me sick. When the Davidsons came home, they were hysterical. They checked the baby. He was fine. But Mrs. Davidson went pale when she looked at the baby monitor. "Elena, did you change the settings on this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Why?" I said. "Because," she said, her tears smearing her makeup, "the monitor doesn't record video. It doesn't have an SD card slot." So, she said, "the blinking red light, the one that means someone is watching the feed remotely, it's been on for days." The woman in the attic wasn't just watching them through the cracks in the ceiling. She had hacked the monitor. She was watching the baby on her phone from the attic, waiting for the parents to leave so she could come down and play mom. They never caught her. But sometimes when I'm walking through a store, I hear someone humming Rockabye Baby, and I have to leave. I have to get out immediately, because I know what she looks like in the dark.